Alrighty. Alrighty.
Parker's over there trying his best to be quiet.
We are recording.
Did you turn that off? Like purposely? Or that just went off on?
It goes off on its own, Boomer. It fills up like air.
What I'm saying is it
air.
We're recording.
It's going to cut back on.
Okay.
I ain't worried about that.
All right.
What's up, buddy?
This is going to be really, really unscripted, really unorthodox. This is us answering questions. I'm going to be asking questions to Jared for everyone out there. I get questions all the time. I'm in sales. I'm in customer service. So I'm going to be kind of being the middleman between our customer base and our ownership and the guy who started this, Jared Lewis, our COO. So I'm Boomer Brown, and these are some questions that we're going to be attending and addressing today. So first thing we're going over is our Z series. So Jared, you want to kind of just talk about what is our Z series and what are we doing to it now?
All right, so our Z series is our most premium load. It comes in a wide variety, 28 gauge, 20 gauge, 12 gauge, and 410. So typically it was just straight TSS, and in order to accomplish that, you know, when you're running straight TSS loads, number one, you got to have like really strong wad systems, right? So you got to have a really strong wad with a lot of backbone, and then it's like I said, TSS. Well, when you look at the wads that we use, right, TSS is dense. So when you're looking at 1 ounce payload, it doesn't take up like a whole lot of room in the wad. So then you got to turn around and you got to bridge that gap for it to perform properly. So initially when we built that, I mean, right now it's a great performing round, the legacy stuff. But we in the customer service side, we get calls from people, right? And every time we get a call, you know, if it could be a complaint or something that the customer noticed, we log that. And over time, we look for trends, right? And then if it's something with our rounds that we may be able to improve upon, that's what we do. So what we had found out with the legacy stuff is in your bigger bore guns, you weren't getting a whole lot of wad interaction with the choke. So if a guy were to go out there with like let's say a little bit larger bore gun, like a Beretta, and shoot, what we were seeing was wad run, right? So the wad was in our legacy is really short, with a gas seal above it, and really, yeah, I guess you would say stiff, right? So it wasn't enough, you know, wasn't enough shot interacting with the wad per se, right? So it was more filler than it was shot. Like I said, you'd go to a full choke, it would perform excellent, right? Flawlessly. But your modified choke guys didn't have an option. So we had to figure that out, bridge the gap, and make a small change. So.
Okay, so that change, kind of explain what we did there, because that's a phone call I get is, first of all, people know what Z series is, which you did a good job explaining that, but you know, we've made some changes. What are those changes that we've done and why? So
particularly this goes for the 12 and 20 because it's not needed in the, you know, the smaller gauges because of the amount of the shot, you know, the amount of shot per the length of the wad. So what we did is we went to, on the 12 gauge, we went to a longer wad, right? And we introduced steel into it, right? So what the steel does is for us, it helps us reduce the filler, right? And it also helps with making the shot column a little bit longer, right? So that we get a little bit more interaction between the wad and the choke tube.
So is it acting in all assets like a buffer of sorts? Or?
Yeah, in a way. If you're going to use a filler, you know, the best one that I could find would be actual shot, right? So instead of trying to increase the levels of the TSS to increase the price of the round, we decided to move into putting a 1/4 ounce of steel. The less dense of a 1/4 ounce steel. Steel's less dense, right? So a 1/4 ounce goes a lot longer or a lot further than another 1/4 ounce of TSS, right? So it helped us extend that out. There's no performance difference. It patterns the same. It does great. But if you are a modified choke user or want to use a modified choke, you don't have to shoot a laser beam to get it to perform. Now, to say the legacy stuff, this wasn't across the board in every gun, right? But with the way we operate and the way we build our shotgun shells, I have to build one that performs across everything, not just a handful,
guns, yeah.
right? So there was a gap there that I feel like we needed to bridge in order to make the round more complete.
Well, you say there's not any changes really, but I mean, I guess common sense would tell you if you're buffering it, you got the same amount of TSS, right?
Yeah, same amount of TSS.
But we're buffering it with how much steel?
1/4 ounce of steel, right?
So there is going to be more pellet count then.
Yeah, there's going to be more pellets in the air, which, like I said, what better filler to give you than more shot?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So same thing with a 20 gauge, right? It's a 3/4 ounce load. We added a 1/4 ounce of steel to make it a 1 ounce payload, right? Because there were some gaps there.
Okay, so you got y'all. We have our blends, which are very popular. Our you know, our 20 gauge, our 12 gauge, our blends. So what is the difference between that being steel and TSS and our Z series having steel buffered into it? What is that?
So basically, you know, our WS3 or WS line, what you would say is the TSS S3 Steel blend.
Yep.
Right. It is a 1/4 ounce. It's the inverse.
It's the inverse.
It's the inverse, yeah. Right? It's a 1/4 ounce of TSS over an ounce and under an ounce and a 1/16 of steel. It's an ounce and 1/16 of steel on top, 1/4 ounce of TSS below it.
Okay.
So, and then you look at the Z series, which is a 1/4 ounce of steel on top, larger shot size, right? And then the smaller 1 ounce of TSS below it. So.
Okay. Well, that'd be something for everybody to look out for. That way, there's no mistake on what it is. So you're basically getting your Z series, same payload, buffered with steel, so it gives you actually, in all checks and balances, more lethality because you're getting more shot.
Yeah, you're getting more shot. Yeah.
And you're just using it as a buffer.
Yeah, and of course, like we do have some fillers in it. We still have actual buffer in it, right? Which, you know, it's basically like it keeps the shot together longer, patterns better, right? It keeps down the vibration. It keeps a lot of the ricochet from happening when it exits the barrel.
Does it affect the speeds any?
No, speeds are still up there.
Still up there and
the
consistent.
same. Yep, up there and consistent. Pressures are not high. Like a lot of people get confused when you hear, oh man, this round is hot or high pressures. When we talk about pressures, we're talking about, you know, achieving that standard that we like to hold to is we need to be at 10,000 psi or above on our pressure tests, right? So we have inside here at the shop, we have a PZO electric pressure tester, and we do a lot of, you know, when we run lots of shells, we do robust testing to make sure that we fall, number one, within SAMI specs, right? And then, but we're delivering a consistent lethal round that's going to perform the same every time you pull the trigger. So,
no matter what platform you're in.
No matter what platform.
Okay. And this kind of brings me along to, again, guys, we're being real serious here, but me and Jerry, it's hard for us to do this, but these are some very good questions here because I get them. I have to relay them to them as we decided we'd give these questions to the masses. So what is stratified? So and is this would this be considered stratified, what we're doing here?
Yes, yeah, in a way this is a stratified payload, right? We don't, you know, going back to the early days with the small town hunting blend, you know, we never, you know, we don't put shot in a bowl and blend it, right? So like, you know what I'm saying?
Clarify that because people do ask that.
It says blend, you know, that was just what we chose, but we've always done, back in the small town days, 7.5s over 9s because, you know, just, you know, engineering wise, I mean, I'm an artillery officer, or used to be an artillery officer, so I got a good knowledge in internal and external ballistics. You know, it's just, you know, the aerodynamics, right? It's pretty basic. So the stratified, you know, it's a 2/4 BB/2, right? Using the same concepts, right, of drafting. Right? But what we did is I went for a pellet to pellet match, right? So there's almost the same amount of 2s as there are 4s, right? So I provide enough pellets in the air to draft. You see what I'm saying? That way, we can hold a little bit of a tighter core. 2s are here, right, and 4s fill in the gaps. So the same things with BBs over 2s. So.
And you've seen that help with, like, would you say with pattern retention or?
Yeah, it does help. It depends on the shooter and the setup, though, right? It really comes down to putting pellets on the paper, understanding what your goals are. Yes, it will pattern a little better, right?
And that's one thing that I will say is we do urge everyone, put your shots on paper. Trust me when I say it, before I even came to work at this company, it was nothing I did. Now I will not do it. It is very important, and I think we stress that a lot with everyone. I've heard Jared say it, like, you have, $1,000 in a gun and $200 something in your shells and your camouflage and everything, and then you don't want to waste just 1 or 2, maybe 3 shots, put it on paper just to see what it does. It's worth it. Get you an old box, get you a piece of paper or something, pattern your guns, guys.
Yeah, shotguns are not originally are not designed to be a precision munition, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes down to the machining and the time they put into them, right, it's not to say that particular gun is going to shoot the bead or whatever, right? So a lot of shooters, they'll get a gun, right? They'll buy the best gun, the best choke, and the best shell. And then they'll turn around and they'll cycle through shells until they find one they think they're killing with, right? So different wads, different shot sizes, different things interact with chokes way different. So, and then of course, we could get into the developing bad habits to fit the gun, essentially, right? But that's what ultimately ends up happening, and they end up finding the perfect combo because they'll go out there like, dang, I can't hit nothing. Well, bro, I don't know what your gun's doing. You know what I mean? And then you cycle through some shells, and maybe you find something. Maybe the pattern's gotten tighter. Maybe it's actually gotten a little more open. And now you start hitting stuff, you're like, oh man, I really like these.
I actually had a customer tell me one time that barrels create memory. He told me that one time, and it kind of stuck with me on for different guns, how different guns like different shot. That's kind of what he was telling me about that, and that kind of stuck with me how it worked.
I mean, I could see that. That's beyond my insight. I do know in the artillery world, we got tube wear, you know what I mean, stuff like that. So many shots go through the rifling of a paladin, right? You get tube wear, and it affects your muzzle velocity variations and stuff like that, where you're impacting, wherever you're shooting.
So every time it could change.
Yes.
What you're saying.
I guess you could say that with enough shots through it, but it's hard to really say. That's nothing like I could really speak to.
Okay. Well, I mean, as far as, I guess you could say this episode, the inaugural episode here of the, what do we call it? The Apex Shop Talk.
Yeah.
Here on the S3 sofa. That was the main thing I think we wanted to address today is the new things that are coming. This is something we're going to try to do more often, is let our customers and our dealers and everyone know what's coming, why we are doing some of the things we are doing. These are questions that I've been getting that I brought to Jared, and Jared was like, hey, let's just let everyone know. So this is something we're going to keep doing, and I'd like for us, if we could, to show how we're doing the new way of the Z series, if we could, the loading process and all that. So if that's something we could do.
Yeah, I think what we'll ultimately end up doing is utilizing this platform here to maybe, pattern some loads, get a little bit more in depth about what we're doing, why we do certain things, you know what I mean, within the scope of not giving out anything that's just like, shoot us in the foot, but, kind of how we do things, what we see, right, as far as the plethora of guns that we shoot. And kind of provide maybe a little bit more of a resource as to, if it were me, I would do this, per se.
I like that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you, buddy. I think that's all for today. So we'll catch y'all next time.
Yep.